In today's latest news, we officially announced the signing of Mudryk at Stamford Bridge. And to move on, I'm going to discuss Moises Caicedo and talks of a January move for later this month. So we have a ton of things to break down and discuss. I hope you guys are still pumped and excited after that very impressive 1-0 win against Crystal Palace this evening. Make sure you guys watch my match review to stay up to date with all the latest match discussions after some very impressive performances today from your Ziyech's, Gallagher's and the debut of Badiashile as well too. Hit that like button if you guys are loving the content right now. I feel like I need to be more ambitious. I'm going to start asking for like 2k likes now. So if I can get 2k likes, I would absolutely love that. Before we move on, I need to get one massive plug out of the way first. Today's video is brought to you by friends of the channel in OneFootball. Download OneFootball to stay up to date to one of the craziest January windows we've seen since we've signed guys like Matic, Luiz and Fernando Torres in the same window. Right now, you can download OneFootball to see all the latest post-match stats to come out after the game. As you guys can see here, you can vote for your best players, as well as seeing the lineups and looking at the stats to come out from the game too. As you guys can see, we had an incredibly dominant performance against Crystal Palace, around 63% possession. There was purpose behind our game as well too. Look how high the duels won were. I can't remember the last time I've seen close to 60% of duels won, and these are the reasons why we won the game today. So I love these types of small features and details you get, but at the same time, you guys also do not forget to check out all the latest news happening around the club right now, which is what OneFootball is in particular very useful for. So if you guys want to help support the channel and help support yourselves and your football interests, download OneFootball. You'll find a link below in the description. So right now, my friends, it's now time to discuss the announcement of Mudryk, who was presented in front of the Stamford Bridge fans in our 1-0 win over Crystal Palace. So already Mudryk is sprinkling that little bit of fortune and favour into the team right now. The deal is done. He's given his first words in interviews. Let's break down everything that's happened today involving Mudryk. For example, we know instantly that both Bali and Boli finalised the deal in Poland yesterday. And of course, they then went to collect Mudryk and they all flew back on the same private jet, of course, for him to complete his medical in the early hours of this morning. Now, why exactly did we make such a hasty move to sign Mudryk? Well, this came at the request of Graham Potter and his transfer team, but most importantly from Graham Potter. We found out that a few days ago he held personal conversations with Mudryk to offer him assurances of how important and valuable he is going to be in this team. Essentially, he is signed to be a first team left winger for us. He is a key player already in that instance. And as Mudryk said, listen, I want to be going to progress my career now to sign for a club that will use me and sees my value. And that's exactly what we did. Now we have some confirmation behind the final figures behind this move. We found out on the club's official website that Mudryk signed an 8.5-year contract, which is one of the longest contracts I think I've ever seen in football. It feels like Todd Bowley's been inspired by how, American sports franchises present contracts to their players. Maybe this is the future. Maybe this is the best way to do things, especially because it allows you to fall in accordance with financial fair play. The key reason is because of something called amortization. Basically, players have a player cost every year. If you've spent big money on a signing, that player cost will be the transfer amount you have to pay for the year, as well as the player's wages. So we found out that Mudryk's player cost will be at around 10 million a year. Remember, this fee includes his wages and the transfer cost. Now, I'm definitely going to do a video next week just explaining why we are able to spend so much money. Mudryk is the 5th signing we've made in January alone. We made even more signings in the summer window and will continue to make more signings before this month ends, as well for the following summer too. Regardless, the final amount of money that Mudryk will cost will be around £89 million. So that's going to include 62 million upfront with 27 million in add-ons. And with these add-ons in particular, there are certain clauses inserted in these add-ons, such as the fact that if we win the Premier League, if we win the Champions League within the contract length that Mudryk stays here, then of course, Shakhtar will earn more money. A lot of times in football, when we're seeing massive figures like 100 million, 90 million, these figures and fees are broken up into many small details and aspects. Clauses play a massive part in things like this. Things like performance-related bonuses, like if your team is successful at the end of the season, how many appearances you're getting your first international appearances, etc., etc. I mean, we saw that ourselves when we sold Eden Hazard to Real Madrid. You know, the value was around 100 million, rising to around 160 million, depending on whether Real Madrid won the Champions League, won the league, etc., which they did do, and we earned even more money from the sale. For me, it's probably the greatest ever football sale in history. It's a shame that Eden Hazard's career has been plagued by injuries, but the amount of money we received, wow, it really helped put us on the map again. So right now, let's go to the club's official website to read Mudryk's first words and to hear the first thoughts from our owner after this signing. As we go to the website, we scroll down. It's been announced that the Ukrainian international, who turned 22 earlier this month, has put pen to paper on an 8.5-year contract with the Blues to seal his move to Stamford Bridge. As Mudryk says, "I'm so happy to sign for Chelsea. This is a huge club in a fantastic league, and it's a very attractive project for me at this stage of my career. I'm excited to meet my new teammates. I'm looking forward to working and learning under Graham Potter and his staff as well." Now, as we scroll down, let's hear what Igbali and Mr. Todd Bowley had to say as well too. As they say, "We are delighted to welcome Mykhailo to Chelsea. He is a huge, exciting talent who we believe will be a terrific addition to our squad both now and in the years to come. He will add further depth to our attack, and we know he'll get a very warm welcome in London as well too." So there you guys have it. First words and statements made after this signing were finalised. To give some general thoughts and opinions, of course, though, you know, there are some fair conversations circling now around the price we're paying to sign Mudryk. One of the reasons why we beat Arsenal to a signature is because Arsenal kept stalling and stalling. I think their plan really depended on the fact that if they were the only interested party actually trying to sign Mudryk. So their offer was around 90 million euros, which was still short. And one of the main reasons behind why there was reluctance from Shakhtar to accept their bid was because some of the clauses that they put in the deal, of course the installment package, wasn't very safe for Shakhtar. For example, if we present the fact that, listen, we will pay more money if we win the league and Champions League within 8 years, you're going to trust us more than an Arsenal who are only having their first resurgent season now in how many years? Essentially, Arsenal had 10 million euros left to pay on top to hopefully get this deal sorted after agreeing personal terms with the player already. They agreed a 5-year 120k per week deal. We offered even more money towards Mudryk and gave him a longer deal. But moving away from that though, one of the main conversation points happening right now is that, are we paying too much money for a player that has made less than 50 career apps in his career and he's just turned 22 years old? That is a very, very interesting question. I have my own opinion on this though, and I'm actually going to use Jamie Vardy now as a comparison. Now for me, Jamie Vardy is a bit of an anomaly in the sense that for his age, he is still reliant on his pace. He can still cause a lot of damage and danger to teams with his pace. And I think one of the reasons behind why he's able to shine at this old age is based on the fact that he started his career quite late. He didn't make it at the top level very early on. He didn't start playing Premier League football until he was in his 20s. So I do kind of feel like, you know, his body hasn't been maybe damaged by playing a rigorous amount of football at a young age. And that's allowed him to maintain that pace over the long term. And pace is key because as you get older, you do lose some yards. And for certain players, losing out on pace can dramatically affect how they play their game and how good they are. I mean, we saw this ourselves with Fernando Torres, who lost his pace factor and then had to become more of like a target man figure for clubs like us and Atletico Madrid. So for me, when I look at Mudryk, even though he's just turned 22, like in my head, I'm imagining to be like maybe 19 years old. He's just literally emerged on the market right now. It's like he's been in the crowd chambers. They've been growing and building him in the background behind the scenes to get him ready for these moments. Now that Shakhtar released him, we're seeing how devastating he is in the Champions League, how dangerous he is in the final third, how dangerous his use of his pace is, the goals with either foot as well too, the dribbling ability. I mean, the guy does so much in the final third, and I think if you're partnering a talent like this alongside equal talents like a João Felix, Nkunku, Havertz, etc., you know, you're just maintaining that longevity in his game even more. So in that sense, this fee is not really bothering me. Right now, I guess we all patiently wait for him to make his first debut for us. You can imagine we're all going to be so gassed and excited for that to happen. Honestly, what a crazy way to end this saga and story. I kind of felt like we always had a way to sign him. I thought maybe we were prioritizing other targets, but you know, this ball keeps reminding you to not write them off because they're constantly doing things behind the scenes that none of us have a clue about. So let's see what other surprises they can hit us with. So right now, I want to end things briefly on discussing Moises Caicedo and any January moves. So right now, to end things, I want to talk Moises Caicedo and a potential January bid. Long story short, there's no guaranteed bids coming in, but there's a lot simmering behind the scenes there with Caicedo. A lot of things happening behind the scenes. There's a lot of interest at this club. Of course, Graham Potter is a massive fan and admirer. And if there was one player he could bring with him from Brighton, it would be Moises Caicedo. I mean, Potter has put his arm around the player, really bedded him into the country, introduced him, made him feel at ease, and allowed him to acclimatise to a new country, culture, and a new league to a perfect standard. And there's a reason why him, and also guys like Paul Winstonley and others, were so keen on signing him for Brighton at the time. I mean, every big club was following Caicedo for a reason, so he had a big reputation, but they were able to persuade him to sign. Now, the reason why I'm starting this story with caution is that with any move now for a midfield player, it will depend on circumstances. For example, if we get some guarantees that maybe targets we're looking at or tried for before won't be signing or leaving whatsoever, then we'll make a move. Obviously, in the case of Caicedo though, there is an interesting piece of news coming out right now. We all know already, it's been confirmed that he is planning to swap agencies at this point in time. And this is a very normal thing that happens in football with players, especially as his pedigree is growing in the game even more now. So from Wednesday, when he's officially agentless, if there was ever a time to then make a move, it would be then. And so far currently in January, we've seen new announcements and signings every single new week of the month. Could next week be dominated by Moises Caicedo? Please do not hold me to that. I'm just speculating and also being a little bit excited and gassed by that. I think it's quite obvious, especially in this game today. We won because of the energy and the desire and the ball winning in midfield. I said it earlier in the video, you guys, we won around 60% of our duels. We've not been doing that now for how many games? We've been very lightweight, but midfield is key. And Moises Caicedo is one of the best ball winners in the country and is able to play in multiple positions and plays the game to an extremely high level for his age as well too. So there is a need for a profile like this in our team. And as I'm stressing, if there was ever a time now to make a move for him, it would be by the time during that window where he is technically agentless until he signs for the new agents, which will be Manuel Sierra. Of course, they represent guys like Ali Barrett, as well as Hincampi, which is another international teammate who's of course playing at Bayer Leverkusen. Naturally though, I'd imagine that Brighton will not be very pleased or impressed. They don't want to lose one of their best players during a crucial part of the season after their impressive win versus Liverpool. They'll be dreaming now and they'll feel like they can do anything. If anything, they prefer to probably sell him in the summer once the fate of their season has been revealed. But there's a lot of people at this club who are massive admirers of Caicedo. I think you guys have seen already too that Caicedo liked the posts where Mudryk of course has signed for us, and he's liked a lot of Chelsea related posts on social media. A lot of times there is a hint and sign towards things, and naturally you're getting the impression that Caicedo would be more than happy to work under Graham Potter again, the guy who brought him to the country and put him on. It would be a proud moment for a player from Ecuador as well too, to be playing for one of the best teams in the world in a very important role. And we know that Caicedo is a very ambitious figure who wants to play at the highest level he possibly can. So as I'm stressing, there's no guarantees that a deal will happen, but all I can say is things are happening and simmering behind the scenes. I can't get too gassed and reveal everything right now, but don't be surprised if any attempts were made for Caicedo before this window ends. So right now, you guys, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I'm EFC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.